FIFA does not really sell football. It sells the rarest product in modern media, billions of people feeling the same tension, joy, fear, pride, and heartbreak at the exact same time. It does not play the match. It does not build every stadium. It does not score the goals. Yet when the World Cup begins, FIFA stands at the center of the world's attention. A single tournament can make strangers in different continents stare at the same screen, hold their breath together, and explode into celebration or silence from one movement of the ball. And when the entire planet pays attention, money follows naturally. Broadcasters, sponsors, advertisers, cities, brands, and luxury guests all compete to stand near that emotional spotlight. So in this episode, we are not studying tactics, formations, or star players. We are looking at the World Cup as one of the most powerful business machines ever built. Why does FIFA keep expanding the tournament? Why are match times arranged around global time zones? Why can even a short pause during a game be worth millions? And why would someone pay more than $1 million just to watch football from a VIP suite above a stadium filled with ordinary fans? The better question is not how FIFA makes money from football. The real question is how FIFA turned global emotion into a carefully packaged, multi-billion-dollar industry. To understand it, start with a simple truth. The World Cup is no longer just a sporting event. For fans, it feels like identity, memory, and belonging. It is the shirt worn in crowded streets, the cafe packed past midnight, the family shouting at one screen, and the nervous silence before a penalty is taken. For FIFA, that feeling becomes an asset. Not an asset like a factory or a stadium, but a media asset: predictable, enormous, emotional attention. In today's media world, attention is usually fragmented. One person watches Netflix, another scrolls TikTok, another opens YouTube, while someone else plays games or reads news. Most products fight for small pieces of attention. The World Cup does something almost impossible. It gathers attention back together across languages, ages, incomes, and borders. That is why broadcasters pay huge sums for rights. They are not only buying matches, they are buying scheduled moments when audiences reliably arrive in massive numbers. A normal television program hopes people remember to watch. A World Cup match becomes an appointment with history, especially when a nation believes one game could define a generation. Sponsors understand this perfectly. A logo beside the World Cup is not just advertising. It borrows emotion from the tournament and attaches itself to national pride. When fans remember the goal, the celebration, the tears, and the replay, the sponsor wants to be part of that memory without ever touching the ball. This is why the tournament keeps expanding. More teams mean more countries emotionally invested, more broadcasters bidding, more sponsors interested, and more matches to package and sell. Expansion is not only sporting inclusion, it is market expansion. If your country qualifies, your casual viewers become emotionally available customers for broadcasters, advertisers, and merchandise. A country that loses early may stop watching as intensely. But a country that is still alive in the tournament keeps millions emotionally locked into every round. Scheduling works the same way. Match times are not random. They are placed where the biggest possible audience can watch live, because live attention is far more valuable than delayed attention. A goal watched live creates instant conversation. It fills group chats, social feeds, headlines, and office debates. The match becomes content, and the content becomes free promotion. Even downtime has value. Halftime, VAR checks, pre-match ceremonies, and injury pauses are moments when attention remains trapped, waiting, and brands can speak into the silence. Hospitality is another layer. VIP suites sell more than a seat. They sell closeness to power, exclusivity, networking, and the feeling of watching history from above. So the first layer is clear. FIFA's true product is not football itself. It is access to synchronized emotion, and every business model begins with controlling that attention. But attention alone is not enough. FIFA's genius is turning attention into layers of rights, packages, categories, and privileges. So every emotional moment can be sold to different buyers at different prices. The biggest layer is broadcasting. Television networks and streaming platforms pay enormous fees because a World Cup match is one of the few programs audiences still watch live, together and without skipping. Live attention is rare because advertisers hate uncertainty. They want to know where people will be, when they will watch, and whether they will stay. The World Cup answers all three. This is why match timing matters so much. A kickoff is not just chosen for players or stadiums. It is chosen for living rooms in Europe, cafes in Asia, and bars in America. A match played at the wrong hour can lose millions of casual viewers. A match placed perfectly can turn an ordinary evening into a global appointment that brands fight to sponsor. Then comes sponsorship. FIFA does not simply sell logo placement. It sells association with emotion, joy, pride, tension, belonging, and the memory of where people were when history happened. A sponsor wants its drink opened during the goal celebration, its card used for the ticket, its logo seen beside the trophy, and its name attached to the feeling. That feeling is incredibly powerful because fans do not experience the World Cup as customers. They experience it as identity. And identity is one of the strongest forces in consumer behavior. This explains why the World Cup is valuable even in countries whose teams are eliminated early. People still watch rivals, underdogs, superstars, controversies, and the final story everyone wants to discuss. FIFA's product keeps renewing itself. Every match creates fresh heroes, villains, arguments, memes, statistics, and emotional clips. The tournament becomes a content engine that feeds television, social media, and conversation. And because conversation extends beyond the whistle, value extends beyond the match. Highlights, interviews, reaction shows, documentaries, and short clips keep the attention alive long after the stadium lights go out. This is where digital platforms become important. FIFA can reach fans directly through apps, streaming clips, fantasy games, newsletters, and data products, collecting attention without always depending on broadcasters. Direct access matters because the fan relationship itself is valuable. Knowing what people watch, where they are, and how they engage helps create better products, stronger sponsorship deals, and new revenue streams. But the most controversial growth lever is expansion. More teams mean more matches. More matches mean more broadcast inventory, more ticket sales, more sponsorship exposure, and more countries emotionally invested. When FIFA increases the tournament size, critics worry about quality and fatigue. But from a business perspective, every additional national team opens another market of viewers, sponsors, politicians, and hopeful fans. For a smaller football nation, qualifying is not just sporting success. It can become a national advertising campaign, a tourism opportunity, a political celebration, and a once-in-a-generation emotional event. That is why expansion is not only about football fairness. It is about adding emotional territories to the map. Each new participant brings households, advertisers, broadcasters, and governments into the World Cup economy. There is also scarcity. The World Cup happens only every 4 years. That long wait concentrates demand. Sponsors cannot simply buy the same global emotional moment next month. Because it does not exist, scarcity creates pricing power. A company that wants worldwide visibility during the biggest shared event on Earth must pay for access. Because there are only so many official spaces available. This scarcity extends to physical space too. Stadium seats, hospitality boxes, sponsor zones, fan festivals, and camera-facing advertising boards all become limited real estate inside a global emotional marketplace. A seat near the pitch is not priced only by view. It is priced by proximity to power executives, celebrities, athletes, politicians, and the feeling of being inside the world's conversation. For corporations, those suites are meeting rooms disguised as entertainment. Deals are discussed, relationships are strengthened, and status is performed while the match provides the emotional soundtrack in the background. So when someone pays an extraordinary price for a World Cup experience, they may be buying comfort, but they are also buying access, memory, reputation, and proximity to global importance. The same logic applies to host countries. Hosting is incredibly expensive, but it offers something money usually cannot buy directly: months of global visibility. and a place inside the emotional history of sport. For FIFA, the pattern is clear. The organization does not need to own clubs or score goals. It owns the stage where nations perform emotion, and every layer around that stage becomes sellable. It only needs to control the tournament that every broadcaster, sponsor city, and government wants to be connected to. Once FIFA owns the moment, everyone else pays to stand near it. That is why expansion matters. More teams do not simply mean more football. They mean more countries emotionally invested, more national audiences activated, and more markets with a reason to watch. When a smaller nation qualifies, FIFA does not just gain one more team. It gains millions of new fans who suddenly care about every draw, every ticket, and every broadcast package. A bigger World Cup creates more inventory, more matches, more commercial breaks, more highlights, more social clips, more sponsorship placements, and more emotional peaks that can be monetized globally. But expansion also has a delicate balance. If the tournament feels too crowded or predictable, the emotional intensity can weaken. FIFA must grow the product without making it feel ordinary. The same principle shapes scheduling. A match is not placed on the calendar only for sporting reasons. It is placed where television audiences, advertising markets, and time zones intersect. A game at the wrong hour can lose millions of viewers. A game at the perfect hour can turn ordinary evening television into a shared national ritual. This is why primetime matters so much. FIFA is not simply selling games to broadcasters. It is selling appointment viewing, the rare promise that people will arrive on time. In most media, audiences skip ads, multitask, or watch later. During the World Cup, millions stay present because the next 30 seconds could change everything. That makes even downtime valuable. The walkout, the anthem, halftime, injury delays, and post-match interviews all become spaces where attention is still concentrated and commercially useful. A sponsor does not only want its logo near football, it wants its logo near the moment when millions feel nervous, patriotic, excited, or relieved. The advertisement becomes stronger because it borrows emotion from the event. People may forget the commercial, but they remember the feeling wrapped around it. This is the hidden power of live sport. It creates emotional scarcity. You can replay the match tomorrow, but you cannot recreate the uncertainty of watching it live. That uncertainty is what broadcasters pay for. They are not buying 90 minutes of video. They are buying the possibility that history might happen while everyone is watching. The same emotional logic explains VIP hospitality. The richest guests are not paying only for a seat. They are paying for status, proximity, comfort, and the feeling of belonging. A private suite turns a public match into a private world. Business leaders, celebrities, politicians, and investors can network while the world's most emotional spectacle plays beneath them. For them, the match is both entertainment and social currency. Being there says something. It signals influence, connection, and access to the room where important people gather. This is why World Cup money flows from so many directions. Broadcasters buy attention, sponsors buy association, fans buy memory, hosts buy prestige, VIPs buy access, and FIFA sits at the center, converting all of these desires into contracts, licenses, packages, rights, and official categories that can be priced and sold. Of course, this creates controversy. When emotion becomes a product, questions follow. Who benefits most? Who pays the real cost? And what happens when money shapes the game? Fans may feel the tournament belongs to them because emotionally it does. But commercially, the World Cup belongs to whoever controls the rights, the venues, and the global signal. That tension is the core of modern football. The love is real, the pride is real, the heartbreak is real. And precisely because it is real, it is incredibly valuable. FIFA's genius is not that it invented football passion. It learned how to organize it, protect it, package it, and sell access to it at planetary scale. So the next time the World Cup begins, watch more than the match. Watch the cameras, the ads, the timing, the VIP boxes, and the countries fighting for visibility. Because FIFA does not merely sell football. It sells the privilege of being attached to the world's emotions, at the exact second those emotions are impossible to ignore. And that attachment is the final product. Not the ticket, not the broadcast, not the logo on the pitch, but the feeling that this moment belongs to everyone, everywhere, at once. For FIFA, the World Cup is a giant emotional marketplace. Broadcasters buy certainty, sponsors buy association, governments buy prestige, and fans buy the chance to say, "I was there." This is why expansion matters. More teams mean more nations emotionally invested, more households watching, more local brands wanting visibility, and more matches that can be sold across more time zones. A smaller tournament may feel purer to some fans, but a larger tournament creates more emotional entry points. Every new country brings its own anthem, its own advertisers, and its own audience. The schedule is not just logistics either. A match time can decide whether a game becomes background noise for one region or prime-time national theatre for another. When kickoff lands at the right hour, restaurants fill, phones light up, betting markets move, social feeds explode, and advertising slots become more valuable by the second. Even silence has a price. The pause before a penalty, the injury break, the halftime analysis, these are not empty minutes. They are concentrated attention waiting to be monetized. That is the hidden power of live sport. You cannot skip the tension. You cannot binge the outcome later with the same electricity. The value comes from uncertainty happening now. This uncertainty is what sponsors pay to stand beside. They are not simply buying visibility. They are buying memory, hoping their brand becomes attached to joy, relief, pride, or heartbreak. Hospitality works the same way, but at the top of the pyramid. A VIP suite is not just a better seat. It is business access wrapped in national emotion. Inside those rooms, deals are discussed, relationships are built, and status is performed. The match provides the emotional backdrop. FIFA provides the platform where money meets meaning. This is why criticizing FIFA only as a football administrator misses the point. It behaves like a media company, an events company, a licensing empire, and a global attention broker. Its most valuable inventory is not grass, seats, or even goals. It is synchronized human emotion, distributed across continents, captured by cameras, and sold through carefully designed commercial layers. Of course, this raises uncomfortable questions. When a tournament becomes this profitable, decisions about size, location, and access are no longer purely sporting. They become economic strategy. But the machine keeps growing because the demand is real. Fans still want the drama, nations still want the stage, and companies still want to be near the feeling. So FIFA's business model is simple to describe, but almost impossible to replicate. Create a moment the world cannot ignore, then sell every layer surrounding that moment. Because FIFA does not sell football in the ordinary sense. It sells access to the world's emotions, and for a few unforgettable weeks, the whole planet is willing to pay attention.